It wouldn't be me if I wasn't messing with the camera every single time I showed up here. No, would it? It wouldn't be me if I didn't get up either. Okay, let's shed some light on the subject, shall we? Hello, Mary. A lot of you are telling me that you're that you're not getting notifications of the video, so I know I have that problem to people on YouTube also that I'm subscribed to. So my suggestion is to unsubscribe from my channel and then resubscribe, and then hit the notification bell, because I'm not sure what's going on with that. And I'm not sure what's going on with my light here either. So, hello and welcome to the news that didn't make the news. Okay. Kathy, I'm so glad you got a notification, my friend. Hello, Dawn. Long time no speak, right? At least a couple of hours. Wow, that's really distracting in the background, isn't it? Okay. So the reason that I'm here today is a lot of things have come up for me since I've been wearing copper, and the 3 people that I've talked to between yesterday's readings and today's readings, there were some things that came up there as well. Oh, good. You guys can see my giant mess in the background. My place is a little bit scattered with Anna getting ready to move out. Hello, Herman. Tomorrow, June 21st. Summer solstice. Oh, yes. I was going to say, you didn't finish your sentence. What about tomorrow, Herman? Hello, Herman, and welcome. Okay, so we're going to talk about whatever comes up here. But what's been coming up, what came up today earlier in a reading was some very interesting things. So on the Ascension path, the people that have signed up for the Ascension path, there is a transmuter in every person within a family line that's come here to do a very specific job, and that is to transmute the energy and the patterns of the past that run down our particular family lineage. And for some of us, that goes back to Egyptian times, and some of us, it goes back even further than that. So you can see that this can be on some days a daunting job. I saw some things today that I did not realize before. So I knew that there were many of us here on the Ascension path, one person in each particular family that chose pre-birth to transmute the energy of our ancestors. And for some of us, that could be 1,000 years. For some of us, that could go back to Egyptian times, and some of that could even go much farther and deeper back than that. So I know that you guys are familiar and you've heard the term that we are transmuting for our family line. But what does that exactly mean? Because I saw a couple of things today that I had not seen previously, and I had an understanding of the general concept that we were transmuting the family line for at least the last 10 years, if not the last 15 years. So what we are doing now is an energetic spiral to the past. And that word spiral just keeps coming up over and over. So you on the Ascension path, the person within the family that signed up to be the transmuter of the past patterns and past energies, you're not just transmuting, let's say, the relationship with you and your mother, or the relationship with you and your ex-husband or whatever it is. What I clearly saw today was a pattern that keeps ancestrally going down the line until it's transmuted. When that particular pattern is healed, that goes back up the spiral to heal it generationally. Now, a person that I had a reading with today, I saw that she had basically signed herself up for dealing with the last 4 generations of her family healing. For some of you, it's way more than that. And sometimes we read about the basic information of Ascension and like, okay, why is this so hard or why is this so difficult? When I have the tools and the knowledge and the wisdom to maneuver through this time. But the thing is, and maybe this will be helpful to you if you realize that you're not just transmuting that relationship with your parents or your ex-husband or your neighbors. What you're doing is transmuting the pattern from its inception point. So when you work out that particular pattern with whomever that is, that goes back out in a spiral and heals the entire generation to the inception point of that pattern. So maybe when you are feeling low on energy or feeling like it's a lot of work, maybe knowing that you're doing that much, maybe you didn't have an understanding of what you were doing past, because it has been presented to us for the last 10 years. Anybody that has known about this is you are the person in the family that has chosen to transmute that energy. But what I've never heard or never read and clearly saw today was you're going back to the pattern of its inception point, which is huge. So for some of you, it's 4 generations. For some of you, it could be a pattern that started 10,000 years ago. So it's huge. And I want you to know that and think about it in terms of that. It's not just myself and my family or my friends or my coworkers who are going through this energy of working things out and transmuting transmuting those things. Everybody on the path of ascension chose to be a transmuter of the inception point of those ancestral patterns. Now, how far back yours goes, I don't know individually, but some of you, it's thousands of years. Some of you go back to transmuting the family line for this 26,000 year cycle. So you're doing a lot more than I think you're consciously aware that you're doing. So the way I saw it today is when you work out that particular contract that you chose, free birth on the Ascension plan, it wasn't just about working that out with your family or working it out back to the inception point of where that pattern came from. It's because, and this is what I saw today when I talked to Carly, it is because when you work that particular relationship out, that particular reoccurring pattern, whatever it is for you, it goes back up into the spiral to the ancestral line, however far back that goes for you. But what I didn't realize until today is that the ancestral energy of that pattern is still here on planet Earth. So if you think about that, you realize then how important it actually is to transmute that and, solve that crime, if you will, of the ancestral damage or the ancestral patterns. And the reason for that is when you solve that, when you clear that, when you transmute that within your own family dynamics or whatever your relationships are that are present in your life, when it goes back through that spiral, it then changes all of the energy, all of the patterns, and all of the misshapen or mistransmuted DNA that was here before us. That's a huge piece of the puzzle that I did not know until today. So thank you very much, Carly, and I'm sure she's asleep because she's on the other side of the world from me. I talked to her at 10 a.m. this morning. So what you are doing in your relationships within your dynamic is clearing, for some of you, thousands of years, some of you 26,000 years, maybe even 52,000 years. Some of you came here as a light being from Andromeda 500,000 years ago, and you have a heavier load of transmutation. So when you work out your current day contracts, when you resolve those current day contracts, which means simply forgiveness and the resolution of that pattern, it changes all the energy that is currently still on this planet that our ancestors left. And as I said, not know that until this morning. I get very distracted by your comments, so I'm trying not to read them. But thank you all for being here. So this is incredibly huge and incredibly important. And just remember, when you're having a really tough time, that you are going with that transmutation in a spiral fashion to the inception point of that pattern. Okay. And part of that pattern, too, is not even things that you're going to be consciously aware of. As we know, our DNA and much of our cellular existence has been tampered with by a minimum of 22 races, so that certain people are also genetically going back, almost like a lab tech or a scientist in a lab, to when you alter your DNA or allow the alteration with ease and grace to happen at a cellular level, you are putting back into the earth body and the body of you personally the original format of the DNA. So etherically, it's kind of like you're working in a lab, whether you're conscious of it or not. So some of us are working on the pattern that is the extraterrestrial pattern, because as you know, we are actually all, and we are all extraterrestrial. And we are a mix of a minimum of 22 races. So if you think there's family drama with your current 3D situation, imagine the altercations and the things that have happened within different interplanetary groups and also off-planet groups that have altered our DNA. So not just like verbal disputes over what has been done, but also energetic disputes over it, etheric disputes over it. A lot of this happens in dream time, or when you allow yourself to astral travel, or basically just when you're asleep and you are traveling within the subconscious, unconscious realms of yourself. So hugely important for you to remember, it's not that I have a hangnail, right? And I'm having a bad day, or I just can't deal with the Ascension symptoms. It's so important for you to know that you are transmuting the family line from a spiral of energy with your body on planet Earth out to the ethers where these ancestors have left their patterns. Now, we signed up for this contract before we came in here. This is another thing that came up today. That does not mean that you have to do it. And that also does not mean that you cannot take a break from doing this. So if you're feeling overwhelmed by the transmutation process, right? Because in this energy with the solar cycle that's going on, there's not a single person on this planet who's not transmuting the energy of people, places, and things around them, including the animal and plant kingdom as well. So some people are working backwards in the ancestral line. Some people are working back in the ancestral line that is extraterrestrial, that has genetically altered us. Some people are working in a spiral back to the plant kingdom, some the animal kingdom, and some are doing multiple jobs at one time. So don't just tell yourself, oh, this is just ascension I should have, or energy, I should feel wonderful. But the thing that I want you to know is that if you decide right now or yesterday or next week that you do not want to be the person in the family line to transmute this energy, you do not have to. Okay. So, whatever way you want to connect with whomever you want to connect in the higher aspects of yourself, you can simply state that you wish to cancel the contract to transmute the ancestral line of whatever it is that you're feeling like you're dealing with. So you do not have to do that. Any contract that we made can be canceled, just like in the third dimension. We can get a divorce, we can end our lease, right? We can return our rental car. Okay. You have a choice. You are the most powerful piece of technology on this entire planet that has ever existed. So anything contractually that you feel obligated to, or you feel connected to, or that you feel that you have signed up for that you no longer wish to do, you can exit out of that by just stating your intention to exit out of that contract if you feel it's too much for you. You can also ask to just take a break contractually from the things that you signed up for as well. If you don't want to quit, you can just simply put it on pause so that you can better take care of yourselves if you are feeling overwhelmed and overloaded. The reason that we signed up for it during the time for Ascension is because when I transmute or forgive or resolve the relationships and the patterns of the ancestors within my immediate relationships, my immediate family, and my immediate surroundings, it again sends the spiral that releases the pattern out of the loop so that the pattern no longer exists. And when I say no longer exist, it doesn't exist within me, it doesn't exist within you, it does not exist within the lineage, but it also, and most importantly, this is what I saw today, it transmutes the energy that those ancestors for hundreds of thousands of years left on this planet. So if you think about the incredible choice that we have for the ascension path right now, and you know that by transmuting it, we're changing the planetary energy from millions of years of all the things I before previously mentioned, and altering the energy of the not only the local patterns and the local ancestry of this planet, but we also spent many lifetimes on other planets. We're transmuting that. And we also are transmuting the extraterrestrial patterns as well. But those energies and those patterns still exist within the ether. So when you resolve that in your three-dimensional life, you're sending a spiral back, which changes the energy that still resides on this planet from all of those and ancestors, local or non-local. Maybe the extraterrestrials would be preferred to be called non-local. So you can cancel those contracts. Now, another part of this is a lot of times in these contracts, let's say I want to work on it, but my parents don't want to work on it, or I want to work on it, but my ex-husband doesn't want to work on it. Okay. In that case, there's nothing that you can do, right? That doesn't go against free will to push against that other person's perspective, their energy, their own timeline, and what they've chosen for reality. So in that case, you can simply state what you want to do at any time. I love whoever that person is. I forgive whoever that person is. And then turn around and look at yourself and say, I love you. I forgive you. And it will disappear. Now, if it's something, let's say the pattern of abuse or the pattern of neglect or something within your family comes up and the family is not willing to work it out, the other party is not willing to transmute it, You do not have to wait for that person to have the realization that that's something that's very important and needs to be done. You can simply say, I love you, I forgive you. Now, the way that I found this works best for me is when I have that memory that comes up, that pattern, right, even from 20 years ago of abuse or neglect or whatever it is, at that time when that flashback happens, that's when I'm saying, I love you, I forgive you, I love myself. I forgive myself for playing a part in this. And that will leave. You do not need the other person to understand you, to agree to you, or anything else. And this is a big deal because a lot of people are going through this sort of suffering by having these patterns and these loops of whatever it is for you, neglect, abuse, all of these things, parental addiction, whatever it is, when you have a flashback of it, you're in that situation, right? Kind of in the fourth dimension, you're in that situation when you have a recollection or a past memory of that. That is the time to say, I love you, I forgive you to that person. And then I would look at myself and say, Tina, I love you, I forgive you for having a part in it. That will dissipate. And it's very, very important because there are so many people in 3D reality within our family and friends dynamics, and sometimes even coworkers and even neighbors are in on that karmic bandwagon as well. We do not need to wait for anyone else. It's important that we lift the weight and we lift the burden of that. That's interesting. All of your comments stop. So either you're totally riveted over there, or I'm having technical difficulties again. Hopefully, it is not the latter. So that's really important for you to know. And I'm telling you, what you're doing right now is an energetic spiral to heal the past, ancestral, off planet, and on planet karmic stuff, patterns, all of that. Okay. Thank you, Mary, for that comment. Okay, I am still here. Forgiveness is the only thing that's required to dissolve and resolve the pattern. I know it's frustrating when you realize that there is a contract, that there is a lesson, and that other person is not interested in working that out. But you are such a powerful person. As I said, the human being, the human body, this beautiful light angelic force that we are in a human body is so powerful. We do not need anyone else to consent to the fact that we are transmuting and pushing that forgiveness by allowing it peacefully and gracefully in the cells of our body and by the words we speak out into the spiral, which is then changing the ancestral energy on this planet for millions of years. So take it easy on yourself and give yourself probably a little more credit than you're giving yourselves. The next thing I want to talk about is overstimulation versus understimulation. David, thank you. So overstimulation versus understimulation. I think you all know what overstimulated means, but it could be whatever. It could be coffee, it could be drugs, it could be alcohol, it could be, you're addicted to working out. Hopefully that's your addiction. But overstimulating yourself. So mostly in the overstimulating category, especially for those on the ascension path, is not so much the detrimental part of self-infliction or addiction, though we do still have that going on. But some people, that is part of their pattern as well. But the majority of what is knocking us off kilter is the amount of time we're spending being exposed to Wi-Fi, 5G, the man-made electrical grid, vibration that comes up through your house. Okay, all of those things. There's a huge electronic drawl in your house, the refrigerator, the stove, stove, the washer, the dryer. So don't make your hangout spot around a spot that is particularly a high voltage area, especially when we have an inundation of solar energy. Okay, so when you're outside and there's a solar storm, you're getting the pure, unadulterated, organic version of that. When you're inside, it's running through your appliances and through your floor before it's actually hitting you at a cellular level. So you're still getting it, but you're getting it mixed with what I prefer for easier term to call dirty electricity, which is coming from your electronics. The biggest thing that I noticed though is that when there's a lot of solar stuff or there's a lot of transmutation happening, because those two things go hand in hand. Whatever's sitting at a cellular level that we signed up to transmute is sitting there, right, on the back burner or at a subconscious level. When these storms come in really strongly, it pushes it up into your conscious knowing. Okay, so solar storms are bringing out at a and you know we just had an X-class flare. What I'm saying is hold off on that. Or if you have to bake 200 cookies for Girl Scouts and there's been a solar flare, hold off on being that close to the oven for 4 hours at a time. Okay, but most specifically, I know we're really into checking on things, other people. How are you doing in this? What's this human resonance? What's Dutchanese got to say? All of this stuff. But it's so much more difficult systemically at a cellular level for you to be doing that kind of research in the middle of while it's happening, because there's so many of you that are feeling it 48 hours before it happens or as it happens before the information has even been posted. So if you can, let's just say, for example, you can handle 2 hours of Wi-Fi connection before you start to feel agitated or disturbed by Wi-Fi or 5G at a cellular level. So if we've had a solar storm, whatever time your nervous system can normally take of the 5G or the Wi-Fi or all of the electronics, the electronic draw running up and through your house, you're only going to be able to handle about half of that. But as I said, on the wave of ascension, especially like the first and second wave, when we feel this energy, our very first inclination is to jump on social media and see what's going on. So what I'm saying is you have your phone or your tablet or your laptop and you're in the middle of receiving a cellular download. And that makes it harder to transmute what is coming out of the cells when the sun does this. So the sun is the magic elixir that brings up at a cellular level anything that needs to be transmuted. So my advice would be, when you feel that coming in, is to chill out and relax and not jump on social media or have your laptop or your phone or whatever, your tablet, in your hand and right next to you, because that's coming fought through so incredibly amplified that it can be way too much on your central nervous system. So overstimulation versus understimulation. The majority of the overstimulation is coming from 5G and it's coming from the electronics in your house. So when you feel like we're having that storm, even if you can't prove it and there's nothing online to validate how you feel, know that that's a good time to take a break, especially from electronics, making 400 cookies or doing 6 loads of laundry. You want to be as far away from those kind of electronics during a solar storm as you can get yourself. If you have smart technology, smart ovens, things like that, that's even a greater draw because those things are working straight in conjunction with 5D. Now, that's my feeling, not my knowing. So that's overstimulation. Understimulation is the category that most of us fall into, and I can sure tell you that I'm going to raise my hand and tell you that's me. Okay. I'm not dating. I don't leave the house that often unless I'm, walking, going to the grocery store, or I need to leave for something. I'm not getting enough social activity. I'm definitely not getting enough human connection. Definitely not getting enough one-on-one intimate time with anybody. Okay. And that is by choice because, and the reason for this is because so many of us have felt overstimulated by so many things in the third dimension that we decide when we feel overstimulated to meditate or take a walk or listen to smooth jazz or maybe do both of those things at the same time. So the understimulation is just as much of an issue as the overstimulation. Okay. So, for example, you're not someone that's having any kind of intimate relationship with anyone, but that affects everything in your life that is passionate, and that affects everything in your life that is a new direction, whether that is, your mission, your career, having children, painting your house, whatever it is. The lack of stimulation or understimulation also needs to be resolved. Now, I'm not going to resolve my understimulation by having a one night stand or things like that. So, my thing has been, how am I going to adjust to and work with the fact that I am understimulated? Okay. Um, Now, exercise will give you that same or similar kind of feeling of stimulation as physical intimacy will. So, exercise, depending on what you're doing, as a dancing and hula hooping and things like that, things where you're moving the center of your body, or the sacral region, because the sacral just keeps coming up for the past couple weeks, is going to be more beneficial, especially if you're not having an intimate relationship or intimate partnership with somebody. Okay, so understimulated. Sometimes we feel overwhelmed, in public or in Walmart or in 3D conversations. So let's say we're in a big box store, or we're at a work party, and we just feel like, oh my gosh, I have to go home now, right? And spend all this time in hermit mode. So the reason for that is when we are in a solely three-dimensional place, okay, I've gotten better about this. I can connect with other dimensions as long as somebody's not talking to me. But this has been the issue. And this is why so many of us are having the understimulation issue. It's because when we're in certain social situations or situations that are overstimulating, we then want to go take a walk, listen to jazz, meditate, do something like that. Okay. So we've gone in the opposite direction where we are under stimulated. Now, I've known this for a while, but I actually didn't know what to do about it. And for me, the understimulation, it was been going on to the point where yesterday which was like my only day off, I was so and completely lethargic that I couldn't do one load of laundry or clean my house or do anything. And I felt like, just this big lazy bum because I couldn't do, one simple thing. And then I just decided to relax and let that go. It's hard because, we feel like as a human being, we have to be doing something, especially when, it's our day off or we're not working. So, what happens in the 3D situation where it's hard to be, where in some certain 3D situations, you start to disconnect from the higher dimensions in order to be able to sustain a conversation or carry on in a third dimensional manner, which can wipe you out and you have to come home and take a walk on the beach or take a nap or meditate or something like that. So a lot of us have been hermiting for the last 3 years and not getting enough intimacy, not getting enough social connection, not getting enough, attention in that way. But the biggest thing is that will affect your drive. If you want to move, it's going to affect your move. It affects your passion, affects your passion across the board, whether that's your passion to get in your car and drive across the country, whether that is your passion to start a business from home, or even start a relationship and start dating. So the understimulation has a really, really easy fix to it. So I've been talking about copper for the last couple of days. That's a stimulant. So that's a place to start. Okay. The copper spiral, you can put it on your arm, you can put it on your waist, you can wrap one around a stick and put it in your living room or in your bedroom or wherever you want. I will tell you, the one outside of my window, the first night in my garden, did keep me awake until 4 o'clock in the morning. It happened to both of the neighbors who are now wearing and or having copper, because yes, Tina is not only experimenting on herself, but she's experimenting on the entire building. The doctor is in. So copper is a stimulant, but what copper allows you to do while you're wearing it in a spiral is be in a third dimensional situation and still pull in the frequency that is a straight, energetic, negative ion situation. Okay, so the negative, why they named it backwards is beyond me. That's probably because I'm ridiculously unknowledgeable about scientific things. But negative ions are the ones that are positive. They're the ones that clear your auric field, the body's meridians. So that negative ionosphere is very important to you. So whether you want to do copper around your waist, your arm, you could do it around your ear, you could make a piece and stick it in your hair. Doesn't matter. But if you're wearing that copper spiral, you can be at that party or the laundromat or the business meeting or whatever and be connected to the quantum realm of unlimited potential while you're in the third dimension. This is hyper important to you. So you won't have to be at the party and then come home exhausted and lay down and rest, meditate, or take a walk. You can keep your energy connected all the time, multidimensional to all realms, by wearing copper on a spiral somewhere on your body. Okay, you can wear it where it's not seen or where it's seen. I made a copper bracelet for my neighbor who has a myopathy, I think, some kind of nerve condition. And he said he didn't know what is happening. He cleaned his kitchen and did every dish in his house. Now, if you'd seen this guy's apartment, you would understand what an actual miracle that was. So yes, I am experimenting on the entire building here. So copper spiral allows you to be in third dimensional realm and third dimensional conversations, people, places, and things, but still be connected at the exact same time to the quantum field of unlimited potential without having to go into hermit mode, quiet space, meditation, or take a walk. If you want to amplify that, which I don't suggest doing on the first day, you can add a crystal somewhere on your body that is a piezoelectric component here, which amplifies what you're pulling in with the copper. And this is huge because I know thousands of you are doing it, and I've been doing it myself. I'm in a social situation or a work situation or a big box store situation, and I have to come home and chill. When I'm wearing copper, this is day number 4, and I showed you guys this the other day, and I am still wearing my 6 feet of copper, and I'm wearing it everywhere I go because I don't really care. It's making a huge difference. It's astronomical. Then you won't have to feel like you constantly have to separate yourself, separate your time between the third dimension and resting to get to that other state. So in other words, you don't have to work to get into that relaxed state. And I don't have to work to get into that relaxed state unless I'm in a situation for a couple of hours where I can't completely be myself. Then I have to come home and let that charge out from those other people. Wearing copper, I do not need to do that. So I suggest copper for everyone. So the other thing is the copper works specifically with anything that's crystalline, and this is huge. I know I've heard this from many of you, and I've experienced it firsthand myself. I don't eat sugar. I don't eat junk food. And in 2018, when these solar storms started amping up, I would be at the corner store buying an Almond Joy, some sort of candy bar, some sort of just absolute worst crap food on the planet. And I could not control it. Okay. The reason for that is, as your body, your DNA is turning on, lighting up, and spiraling to repair the old DNA and turning on the other latent DNA, it is crystallizing. You are becoming crystalline. But what does that mean? That means that craving, that insatiable crave for sugar, is coming because sugar is a crystallized formation, which is allowing you to go, from the Ascension symptoms. Anything that's crystalline will give you relief if you are feeling any kind of Ascension symptoms. So I've known that and been using sugar for that reason for a long time. For the most part, unless we're having a family party, I don't do sugar anymore. Honey is also crystalline. Another thing that came out in a reading today, due to someone else's lack of energy and under stimulation, was the light bulb went off, and I remembered that ginger tea, which is something I've been doing, I think, for about 12 or 15 years, the light bulb went off today, and I remembered that ginger is a crystalline structure as well, which will stop you from craving the sugar. Not only that, because you're turning crystalline and the DNA is repairing and turning on, any kind of crystalline, anything that you put in there is going to give you a temporary relief. Like sugar is going to give you a temporary relief. Honey is a lesser evil than sugar, of course. But the thing is, ginger is a solid crystalline, has a solid crystalline structure. So if you have your even small amount of copper coil on and you add ginger to your system, you've just added a piezoelectric component. Now, that was the light bulb of intuition that went off to me internally today while I was having a reading with someone. It's not something I read or something I heard. I just know that ginger is crystalline and that can greatly do it. But the other thing is, the second thing that came through was that the people that have been hermiting as not to overload the system, that are understimulated because of that, that ginger was a stimulant. So anything spicy, garlic, peppers, turmeric, any of those things are anti-inflammatory. The hot things, the really hot things in your 3D life internally within the body are the anti-inflammatory internally. So as spicy and hot as ginger is, it's an anti-inflammatory. So it's good for a million different things. And I made a separate video about that. But right now, what I want you to know is it is the highest frequency crystalline thing that we can ingest internally. And I mean, you need this as a stimulant for anybody who is, like I've said, understimulated. Ginger will stimulate every cell in the body and the entire chakra system from the third eye down to the root chakra. That's what I saw today. And immediately after I had this reading, I did 3 tablespoons of ginger. And you can do any sort of ginger. Any sort of ginger is better than nothing. The best medicinal way I found, the most crystalline way I found, is buy the huge pieces of ginger, rinse, like the ginger root in the produce department, rinse it off, break it into manageable pieces or cut it into manageable pieces and freeze it, and then grate it. If you're not someone that wants to drink slushy pulp, you can simply grate it into a tea, boil it for a minute, turn it down to low for 5-6 minutes. What you want to do is you want to get all the ginger out of it if you have to strain it. So I drank it cold this morning. I do not strain it. So for me, I seriously recommend, whether you're doing copper or not. If you're doing copper, again, it's This is an aid to help you in the ascension process, the stimulation of your DNA at a cellular level. So whenever you stimulate your nervous system and you stimulate yourself at a cellular level, you are also then speeding up the process of turning on the latent DNA and healing any damaged DNA for whatever the reason that it has been damaged. These two things work amazing together. So the copper's been on for 4 days. Today I did 3 tablespoons of ginger. I grated it cold. I put it into a water bottle with the lid and just kept shaking it because it will sink to the bottom. I had more energy today, more clarity today than I have had in a really long time. So copper on the body, ginger internally, to be the piezoelectric crystalline component that magnifies what you're doing, which is connecting yourself in every 3D situation to the higher realms of peace, harmony, and divine wisdom. That's amazing. I cannot believe the difference. And I've been, like I said, doing this for a really long time. But today I realized, wow, in the amount of other things that I've been doing and experimenting on myself, I realized I had not had ginger tea in 4 months. So I highly suggest that. And it is the absolute cheapest medicinal thing you can do for yourself. The root, you can buy enough root to make tea every day for a month for probably $2. So that's huge. Crystals, copper, and crystalline structure is repairing our nervous system and our cells at a level that it is working within the spiral of the DNA, and it's repairing the DNA and also turning on the latent DNA. And the other thing about wearing that spiral, as you are showing your body on an external level what you are commanding it to do on an internal level, which is to be working with the unlimited potential of the quantum field by wearing that copper in a spiral. It will absolutely change your life. Anybody also who's having problems with anxiety, depression, physical, mental, any kind of illness, or just not feeling completely yourself or feeling right, be without shoes for 30 minutes a day. And when you are, and this is so strange, and I would swear that I would know better because I've been doing this, I want to say, for the last year and a half. But I would walk around with bare feet, which was great. And it'll make you feel literally like you have no problems, no cares, and no burdens. But I was actually doing it while running 5G, right? Straight into my ears, straight into my brain, straight into my pineal gland. So I'm out there detoxifying with no shoes on, and I have 5G headphones in. So if you want the true and awesome and most powerful effects of grounding, walking, on the beach, in the woods, wherever you are, for me in the city, do it without having your phone whatsoever. If you feel that you need to have your phone for some reason, put it on airplane mode while you are walking. Again, overstimulated versus understimulated. When you are grounding, you're trying to destimulate or, relax the cells and relax the nervous system. So, like I said, I've been doing that for a while, but at the same time, playing some kind of healing hertz frequency. And I don't know why it never dawned on me. And it did. I mean, I have taken walks without it before, but I usually really enjoy listening to some kind of healing frequency hertz at the same time while I'm walking without shoes. So today I did not bring my phone and I walked for an hour, and I'm telling you, absolute clarity. And you don't have to walk. You can just stand outside. But for me, it's really hard to stand in one place for 30 minutes. I get very, very easily bored with just standing somewhere, unless I was standing on the beach in the Caribbean. So anybody who wants to send me a ticket, a one-way ticket, preferably to somewhere like that. I could probably stand there for a half hour and watch the sunset and the sunrise. But here in Ohio, it's just not happening. The last thing I want to talk about is your strength, because this also came up in 3 conversations that I had today as well. A lot of times we feel like we don't have the right to push on people or infringe on people, and we don't. We'll take it back to the contracts for a moment. If you feel a contractual obligation or a karmic obligation to work something out with someone, and you verbally try and they are not interested, you pushing on them goes against their free will. So have the strength to know that you are so incredibly strong that, again, you do not need that other person's participation to release the karma. You don't need that person's participation to release the burden that you're carrying, that they're carrying. Go into that situation and just have forgiveness. The other thing is, so free will aside from this, and when I say this to you, I think you'll get it without me explaining. But when I say this, I don't mean that you can walk around speaking your piece and talking shit to every person that you come in contact with. That's not what I'm saying here. What I was told yesterday is that I myself and all of you have the strength to do and say what you feel is in alignment with you. No matter what, you are protected. Okay. Now, again, I don't mean spouting off at the mouth to strangers or people, or getting belligerent, or causing arguments or disruptions in your life and in your relationships. I don't mean that at all. What I mean is, and this came up because when I was walking around making spirals in the yard, wearing them in my hair and making them, and making them for the guy I work with, and working on this project, my neighbor said to me, because she had watched the 8-minute video that talked about the 3 people that mostly were well known in the community, that worked with copper, experimented and wrote about it. One was the guy, and I think his name was Montagnier, that David Wilcock talked about. But he healed 10,000 people by simply putting copper on their body. Supposedly this book cannot be found, but that's one of the people that the video is about. The other person that the video was about, the long and short of it is every single one of those persons were attacked physically. They were attacked credentially. They were attacked verbally. They were attacked in so many ways. So when my neighbor saw me making all these things and working on my yard and making it for other people, she said to me, "You're not going to talk about this in a video, are you? Because that's dangerous." Okay. So that's what I mean. When I'm talking about, oh, this is exciting, I'm a healer, I know a way I can help you heal, and I'm not going to talk about it because I'm afraid. Again, it's not, just so you understand what I'm saying. And then I'm not saying that you push your beliefs or you push on someone to forgive you or work things out with you. I'm talking about when you feel that it's in alignment with you and your life and your vibrational frequency as a person, to live your truth, to be of assistance and to help people as part of, your choice. You have that choice as part of your mission. You have that choice. What I was told was you can do and say anything you need to do that's right action in alignment with who you truly are, with no worries about being attacked in the physical or any other way, your channel, whatever. And this was not actually directed at me. It didn't come out for information for me initially. This was what came through for a person that I was doing a reading for. And the whole vibe between the two of us changed at that, because a lot of us are sitting around feeling really bored because, oh, there's this exciting thing that I want to do once the planet changes, right? But now it's difficult. Now we don't really have free speech, or now we're censored, or now people are being attacked. And that's really, really important. I want you to know that very clearly was stated yesterday. You are the strength and the honor and the integrity in a physical body. Whatever you see fit to do, the important part, that is right action. Speaking about copper, healing your neighbor, whatever it is that you're doing, you have the strength and you have the right and the honor and the integrity and the ability and the strength to do and say what it is you're called to do and not have to worry about anything. You're completely and totally protected. Okay. In a 3D sense, that can look like this. People around us react to our intention and our own reaction. I live in the middle of the city, and I know I told you guys this before, but the summer before last, it was like 99 degrees, and me and the neighbor girl walked around the neighborhood in our bathing suits in the middle of the city. And you would think that would cause attention, right? Hooting, hollering, horn honking. No horns, no honking, no whistling, no nothing. And it's not about how attractive you are. Anybody walking around in the city half naked is going to get a response. But I didn't get a response because I don't put that out there that I'm looking for that. And therefore, I just don't get it. And I don't ever get it. So if you want to walk around half naked, you are protected to do that. If you want to talk about the healing property of copper, you are protected to do that. Whatever thing it is that you're waiting for that's going to change on this planet before you step into that messianic work, you do not need to. Just because people in the past were attacked in all sorts of ways for putting these things out there, that doesn't mean right now that you will be. You can be naked, you can be vulnerable, you can be transparent and completely aligned within the highest version of yourself that you feel needs to be expressed and put into the world, and you are completely and totally protected. There is nothing that can touch you when you are in right action. Now, if you're doing something you know is wrong and doing it intentionally, you are not protected. So I'm not speaking to that, but I think you get what I'm saying here. I'm really, date syrup is nice. Is that when you go on a date and there's syrup involved? Oh, Dawn, I know what you mean. That must be a sugar replacement, right? Thank you, everyone, for being here. I get way too distracted when I read your comments. And I saw Herman and I saw your date syrup, and it just reminded me of the understimulation part of the conversation that I was having earlier. Thank you for being here. And I don't want you to think because you're having a low energy day or a bad day. I know that we look at ourselves like we're incredibly strong. We should be able to do this. That it shouldn't be a non-issue. But that's why I wanted you to know that you, in your immediate 3D relationships right now, are transmuting the energy and the patterns and the addictions and the whatever it is within the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, within humans, also within off-planet populations and inner planet populations. That is a lot. Okay. And part of the reason that you're not completely cognizant that you're doing it is because you would actually be more overloaded than you are sometimes now. So I'm telling you, you are incredibly strong and you're doing incredible work of transmutation. And it's going back in a spiral out through thousands and thousands and thousands, for some of you, hundreds of thousands of years. So take it easy on yourself and don't give yourself a hard time. That's so important for us to know, because the wars, the bloodshed, the ancestral damage, anything that's happened on this planet is sitting in the grids of this planet and the ether of this planet. So me simply transmuting the relationships in my own physical surroundings and in my own physical reality. I'm going back hundreds of thousands of years and clearing that and transmuting that energy, not just of my family line or however far that goes back. It's the energy that still resides in the ley lines and the energy that still resides in the ethers around this planet. You are doing so much more than I think you know you are, because I know I'm doing way more than I know I am as well. Um, that was a lot of really wonderful information that came through. You are incredibly strong. Again, you can do and say anything that you feel is right action in healing, in public speaking, and whatever your particular venue is of plant, human, animal, planetary healing, whatever that is. You don't have to wait for this to be over. You don't have to wait for everything to be fixed for you to jump out and do it. You can do anything you are called to do within right action, and you will alter not only the planetary frequency, the ancestral frequency within the grid and within the ether that goes back to millions of years. And if you think about it, I can't think of a better time to do it, right? Because what are we doing? We think we're, oh, I'm just transmuting, my family relationships or the dynamic with my boyfriend. No, millions of years are being transmuted here. And what does that mean? That means if we have all this energy in the ley lines and all this energy within the body's meridians and all this energy within the Taurus field of planet Earth from our ancestors, and by working directly with our personal and interpersonal relationships in our physical reality, we're changing the frequency that's inside in the grid and around the planet as well. Now, the reason that I saw today that we are doing that is because at this time of ascension, that needs to be transmuted, not just within the family lineage, but also within the Taurus field of the earth, within the ley lines, within the inner planetary realms as well, so that all of that can be transmuted to lighten the load, not only of humanity, of the plant kingdom, and of the animal kingdom, um, but all of it combined. So every negative or damaged or patternous behavior that's here is being transmuted by us so that we can lift the planetary frequency of all kingdoms at this time of ascension. Think about us clearing all the ley lines. Think about us clearing the meridians of our bodies and the body of humanity. And think about us clearing the entire Taurus field of Earth and turning all of that into positivity. Well, what would happen? Everybody would get this giant burst of light, whether they're aware of it or not, whether they asked for it or not. We can either choose this or not. We can choose ascension or not. If we don't want to be part of this transmutation of ancestral energy, we don't have to. We can cancel that contract. We can put that contract on pause. You tell yourself, the fractals of you, that all those fractals of you have come into this body, or for some of you are starting to come into this body. That's truly what it means to be a walk-in, right? It's not, okay, Tom Smith walked into Tina. It's the parts and pieces, all the wisdom that I've gathered from all these lifetimes, the oversoul and the fractals of me coming into me, walking into me, so that I don't have to wait for Earth to change to speak my truth. I don't have to wait for Earth to change to live the highest version of myself. We don't need to wait for anything. You're incredibly strong. You're incredibly protected. Whatever it is you feel like you're waiting for some certain time marker to happen so you can do this person, place, thing, mission, you don't have to wait. You are completely and totally protected to say and do all that is right action within you to heal this planet, yourself, and all the elemental kingdoms on this planet. Uh-oh, now you guys are just getting crazy. I've only seen two or three comments. Now I see Kathy Holden saying Dawn naked too. Okay, date syrup. Yes, okay. Now you guys are just cracking me up. You have the strength to do it. And the last thing I want to say, wow, I'm over an hour and long-winded again. The other thing I wanted to say is when we have a beautiful relationship with someone on Thursday and it's over on Friday, we want it back. When we had a beautiful relationship dynamic with someone 18 months ago, when we miss it and we love it and we want it back. But have the strength to know when something is over, okay? And also have the strength to know that sometimes things are not over, and you will feel energetically when something has been paused but is not over. You can feel and you will know that that thing is not over, and that is your intuition telling you that. But whether the case is you or another person have put the contract or the relationship on pause, okay, or whether that other person has decided to put it on pause or walk away from it or whatever, do not waste your energy, and please have the strength to know when something is over, and please have the strength to know when something is on pause. And having the strength to know when something is over and having the strength to know when something is on pause does not mean that you don't feel bad, does not mean that you're not sad, does not mean that you do not shed tears over a relationship that was wonderful yesterday that's no longer today. It just means it's on pause or it's over. The thing is, our energy is so important right now on the ascension path that whatever has paused us, whatever has left our reality, has chosen to do so. Do not chase things that are on pause. Whatever is meant to be unpaused will be unpaused. Whatever is meant to come back to you will come back to you. But when you chase something, the more you chase something, the faster that person in the other half of that relationship, the faster that person learns to run. Keep your energy within yourself. And I know this is very hard. I have gone through it and myself. I'm not saying it's easy, but know when to reserve your energy for self-love and self-healing and self-joy and self-direction, and don't chase. Have the strength to know when something is over. Have the strength to know when something is on pause, because every single thing that I'm talking about here is a choice. You can end a contract, you can pause a contract. Other people can end contracts with you. We don't have the right to chase after them. That goes against free will. People have the right to pause a contract with you. You have a right to pause your contract to transmute energy. You have the right to stop, to bail, to transmute, to choose differently, to end a contract. Remember, you are the most powerful technology on planet Earth. And knowing that, you would not use your converter energy box, which is your physical body that houses your angelic form, to chase after people that don't want to be part of your reality. Okay? Thank you for being here. I can't wait to read these comments. I'm sure they got really syrupy and sticky after I made that comment about understimulation and date syrup. And I probably shouldn't have gone there because I see looks like a couple of you ran with it. All right. Until next time, consider wrapping a copper coil somewhere around you, whether you want it to be seen or not seen. I went to a store today to buy toothpaste from, I think it's from Africa or Mongolia. I can't remember where it's from. That's made from herbs and banana peels. It's the most amazing toothpaste ever with non-fluoride. When I went in there, the owner, who's probably a little bit younger than me or about my age, and her son were covered in copper, and her son had a copper spiral around a crystal on his neck, which of course I had to bring my copper spirals out of the car and get into a conversation. She had just found out about electroculture 2 days before I walked into her store. So probably going to be selling some wands in there. The ginger tea works wonders for those who have, I will repeat, an understimulated life. Get the copper so that you can be stimulated in all times and in all situations, connected to the unlimited potential of the quantum field, while being able to handle, access, and discern in the multi dimensional realms while existing in the third dimension at the same time without having to come home and rest, walk, or listen to smooth jazz. Okay? Until next time, I love you and peace out. Bye.